The strongest sorcerer in modern era versus the surgeon of malice in all of One Piece. Gojo and Law are both my favorite characters in their respective series. Many think it's not close, but I think nobody truly gave justice to the true winner because in my opinion it's close given the latest updates of both series, which can help us scale both of them appropriately. So what if they end up in the same verse somehow, as Zoro was lost again in another manga and Law had to go search for him in Shinjuku. Then a sudden blue-eyed person appears and they decide to run the fate due to Gojo not cooperating in the Zoro search. So today in this matchup we will go through their strength and speed and how their skills match against each other and how each individual can defeat the other, and you decide the favorite. But before we get into this, please make sure to subscribe and like the video for more JJK matchups and videos or any type of content you would like. Thank you. Gojo Satoru is the strongest character in the JJK verse after Ryoma and Sukuna. He is one of those characters that are depicted as monsters who represent the pinnacle of power, as he was the first one in his clan to have both the 6 eyes and limitless in 400 years. His birth literally shaked the balance of the world and the power between humans and curses that they had to level up and get stronger in order to balance it out. So when it comes to his scaling, we starting off by his AP. Gojo should be from city level to country level at best, and that's for 2 reasons. If we take into consideration his feats such as destroying a large portion of Shinjuku city with his amplified hollow purple, which in my opinion it's his best attack so far. Also, right before displaying that feat, he destroyed numerous buildings with his 200% output hollow purple, resulting in destroying Sukuna's arms, who scales slightly higher than him, if not the same AP. Keep in mind he was assisted in that for him to make it reach 200% output, but either way Shinjuku area also covers 18.22 square kilometers, and given the feat displayed with that nuke hollow purple, that should put him in city level. But if we highball him and take into consideration the statements and the feats of weaker characters, he should be island level. For example, it is stated that a special grade can take down a country by himself, and obviously Gojo scales higher than all the Jujutsu high special grades, therefore he should sit comfortably there. The other example is Chogo's maximum meteor that scales to small city level, given it could hurt even 15 figures Sukuna, so obviously Gojo should be higher than that immensely, but in my opinion Jogo is a unique case given his unbalanced power from poor speed and durability and high AP, but if we take it seriously, Gojo should be island level. His speed however is a different case. He should be massively hypersonic based on the feat displayed by Hakari when he barely dodged a stroke of lightning from Kashimo, and Gojo obviously scales higher than him. Later he was able to move faster than Ten Shadow Sukuna while he was enhanced in his domain and blitz him in an instant, rendering Sukuna impressed. But the absolute high bullet of his speed is the fact that a damaged Sukuna could dodge Kashimo magnetic waves that should put him in light speed. But in my opinion that makes his combat reaction speed light speed, and his combat speed should be massively hypersonic. So before we wrap it up quickly, we gotta address his abilities and hacks that everybody knows and loves. Starting off with Gojo's Limitless that sets an infinite distance between him and his opponents, making it impossible to touch him unless you use domain amplification or you target space or you travel in an infinite speed in order to bypass it, accompanied with the 6 eyes that can see the flow curse energy in extreme detail and the ability to use that flow to read curse techniques. Following up with his technique Lapse that allows him to teleport it to certain distance, adding up reversal blue that creates a pull energy and red that creates a pushing energy. Combining both creates his maximum energy technique, hollow purple. Lastly, the pinnacle of Jujutsu art, and that is his domain expansion, Unlimited Void, a pocket dimension that forces the targets to feel everything, suppressing their thoughts, process, and actions altogether by inputting an infinite amount of information into them. That is indeed his trump card, even against characters that are significantly stronger than him in terms of AP. So how would it go against the surgeon pirate, Traflgar D?
大丈夫でしょ。だって君弱いもん。
Traflgar D Water Law, commonly known as Law, he is indeed a multi-dimensional character whose blend of intelligence, combat prowess, and deeply personal mission makes him one of the standout figures in one of One Piece series, with his real goals yet to be unfolded aside from his vendetta with Doflamingo and the world government. Before we skill him, we gotta mention his hacks and abilities. I'm not going to go all over them, but I will mention the important ones for this matchup. The most crucial thing about Law is his fruit Opi Opi no Mi. This fruit allows its user to create a spherical space, which called room, where the user has complete control over the placement and the orientation of the objects inside. It gives the user minor to major control of the space inside the room. Kinda like a domain expansion, but its size covers a whole island, even more possibly, but the drawback is that it takes a lot of stamina from Law. However, that weakness was also fixed when he awakened his powers, as he could manipulate his room at will by using his re-room that allows him to spam rooms without draining himself, as he could manipulate the shape of it and can apply it to any object or space, accompanied with amputate, as he uses the powers together with his swordmanship, making his sword a scalpel of sorts. While his powers are active, this makes his room slashes akin to a spatial slash, as they ignore the defense of an opponent and appear to take effect instantaneously in the direction of his cut within the room. On the flip side, while being able to dismember people, his room slashes doesn't cause any actual harm, or more like he chooses not to cause harm so he can operate on them. Nothing has been shown the ability to stop this outside of a highly developed Haki or Sea Stone. Next we have Shambles, that allows him to basically manipulate anything inside his room. He can rearrange the pieces of his targets, swap consciousness of those within his room. He can also redirect incoming projectiles. Lastly, he can even swap places with any object or person inside his domain, kinda like Todo's technique but without clapping. Following up with Mess, that allows him to expel his opponent's heart without harming them, causing them to be incapacitated for a while. Following up with Injection Shot and Gamma Knife, that are his most lethal attacks. Law creates a blade of energy to attack his enemies. This technique is capable of inflicting internal damage without causing external wounds. So when it comes to his general scaling, Law's attack potency should be large country level, and that is due to the simple fact that he was able to defeat Big Mom with Kid's help, of course, but considering Yoko's all have relative strength, with Kaido and Whitebeard being slightly above the rest, as Kaido stated that only Whitebeard can fight him. You see, that's the catch here, since Whitebeard is stated to be multi-continental level, possibly higher. Some even claim him to be planetary because he could legit shake up the whole world with his powers, as he could generate earthquakes and distortions with his fruit that is said to be able to destroy the world. So that should put all Yonkos relative to old Whitebeard. For this reason, Law should be at least large country level to continent level for the sake of this matchup, as he was able to defeat Big Mom and damage Kaido on multiple occasions. His speed, however, I think it's so obvious if you've been keeping up with One Piece. Law speed should operate around faster than light, plus due to the fact that he could dodge a laser from Pacifista that are modeled from Kizaru's fruit, therefore that should be a light speed attack as well, in the same fashion as Kizaru. Without mentioning the fact that where characters are shown dodging Kizaru's attacks on multiple occasions, adding to the fact of keeping up with Kaido and Big Mom, who are in the top tiers, therefore he should be FTL+, especially in the latest updates while fighting Blackbeard. Lastly, I want to mention his Haki quickly, as he possesses Armament Haki that is capable of coating both his fists, which enhances his attacks, and Observation Haki that allows him to sense danger coming at him to some extent. So how can the Heart Captain defeat the strongest Jujutsu monster, Gojo Satoru?
楽しくなってきた。勝った方の総取りだな。
Before we state the favorite here, we have to address each individual and how can they win this battle. For Gojo, all he has to do is tap Law inside his domain expansion, Infinite Void, and it's a wrap, because dominating the fight through physical attacks or spatial attacks are nearly impossible considering the difference in speed and attack potency, so the only option left is either restraining Law's stamina somehow and land the Hollow Purple, or hit him with his trump card Unlimited Void, and that is if it lands though. For Law, however, he has quite the options in my opinion, as he seems to be the perfect counter for Gojo and his Infinity. To put it simply, Room shouldn't trigger Infinity's ability, as it isn't approaching Gojo, simply activating around him, and knowing Law's battle IQ, he is never the type to hold back, as he tries to finish things as fast as possible due to his stamina. So since he outstats Gojo pretty well, he can either cut Gojo using Amputate, then rearrange his body parts making him unable to fight, or use V-Room to cut Gojo using the Spatial Slash, as it was shown to be effective against Gojo's Infinity that is part of the space that Law manipulates. He can also just use Mess and decapitate Gojo by taking out his art, which then would deactivate Gojo's Limitless. Then he can choose to either rip him to shreds or slice his head while he is down, which in my opinion is the most effective one. Correct me if I'm wrong, he can also destroy his heart, but that wouldn't work considering Gojo can just heal his heart like Sukuna did to Yuji. Without mentioning Injection Shot and Gamma Knife that can do damage internal without dealing any damage to the body, which can bypass Infinity same way as Amputate because they are not inflicting real harm to Gojo's body. However, these are his options. It all goes down to how Law can use his powers effectively, but I bet he can come up with the most cleanest combo once he sees Gojo's regeneration and aim right at the head. This all comes down to whether Gojo uses domain expansion first or not. Knowing Gojo, he had never used domain expansion right away in a fight, only when he was outnumbered in Shibuya and innocent civilians were around, so he needed to finish it quickly. But if Gojo lands domain, he could be the winner. If you choose to believe Haki can boost his might alone enough to withstand Gojo's domain for a period of time, then yes, he can teleport out since Room's range is much more than Gojo's domain. That has the same range as Sukuna's 300 meters domain, but that's just my speculation. His only answer to Gojo's infinite void is by teleporting away before the domain even happens, using observation haki, though since he can't see the future, I doubt he will teleport out, but rather he will notice something is off with when Gojo is raising his fingers, then he will slice them away, rendering him unable to perform his domain. So in other words, I think the favorite here is Law, but if you choose to believe Gojo can land the domain expansion before, then it's another story. So yeah, let me know what you guys think as I end the video. Thank you so much for sticking in. I heavily apologize for the inconsistent uploads. I am back now with the new gear finally. Been busy with life and work and all, but now I have free time to share my favorite hobby with you guys. I hope you had fun watching this as much as me making this. Please be sure to subscribe and like to support the channel. Thank you and stay safe out there. Peace.